The tomato you know, red, ripe, and round, the industrial tomato. And how it gets from the farm and onto your plate is a long story.
It's pretty complicated to get a tomato all the way to your plate. And there's a lot of steps along the way, there's a lot of choices to be made, and a lot of different labor that goes into making it happen. The first step is to pick the right seed to plant. For industrial tomatoes, it's often about finding the variety that'll ripen really evenly, be durable. So you pick a seed, you plant it in a greenhouse, and it'll either be prepared for transplanting at about 5 or 6 weeks, or it'll be raised entirely in a greenhouse.
Greenhouses are great. The sun shines in, warming the plants and air inside. The roof and walls trap some of that heat, while the rest escapes at night. About half of our tomatoes eaten in the United States are greenhouse grown. But to maintain the perfect temperature to grow tomatoes, you need lots of heating and cooling, and that takes energy, in the greenhouse or out.
If you're going to put it outside, you've got to prepare the soil, so fertilizer, pH, other soil amendments, get it ready. Plant it in the ground, stake it so it can get ready to get tall. So it'll be growing, going along. Often it'll be sprayed for pests, so that could be more herbicide, it can be pesticide for fungus, insects, bacteria. Eventually, it's ready for harvest, so it's picked, often by hand, sometimes by machine, depending on what kind of tomato and where you are. Before it goes around the country, it'll get ripened, usually artificially, so they pump in ethylene gas to make them ripen more evenly and ship them across the country. They'll get to the grocery store, you go to the store, take them, bring them home, cook and eat. There's a lot of different steps of the tomato that emit greenhouse gases, and the biggest piece is actually during production. And that's mostly due to a couple things. It's due to the fertilizer, and it's due to greenhouse heating and cooling for tomatoes that are grown in greenhouses. So fertilizer has emissions in two ways. The first is that it's basically made from natural gas. You take natural gas, combine it with nitrogen in the air, and that's how you make fertilizer. So it takes a lot of energy to produce. Then when you put it on the field, as the field gets wet, some of that fertilizer breaks down and goes back into the air as nitrous oxide, and that's a greenhouse gas 300 times stronger than carbon dioxide. Tomatoes are one great example of produce that's way, way better when you get it locally. So if you think of a fast food tomato or a supermarket tomato, it's kind of sort of pinkish, it's pretty hard, it doesn't have a lot of flavor, and you might think that tomatoes aren't that good. Then you go out and you discover all the different local varieties of tomatoes, and even just your plain normal red tomato. When you grow it on the vine, you harvest it in your own garden, it's an amazing experience. Agriculture is the single largest human land use on the planet, so if you count all the areas that we've cleared, we've deforested, is mostly for agriculture. Secondly, in terms of carbon footprint, agriculture is about 20% of global carbon dioxide emission. Also in terms of water, depending on how you count it, between 70 and 92% of all the water we use goes into making the food we eat and the clothes we wear. So by growing your own food or by buying locally from a producer you know, or that you know how it was produced, you're voting for a different kind of production system. You're saying, I want a tomato that's grown seasonally, with less toxic pesticides, less fertilizer, and that's really delicious.